There's nothing like a good question to just help the Christian life catch on fire. And here's one of these. Here's a question that's come into CCEF. Very practical, and I hope I can give a practical, helpful answer. When a husband confesses an instance of lust to his wife, how specific should he be? General confession? Detailed confession? Somewhere in between? Now that's a good question, because that gets right down to what words will you use? How do you do this? And let me give my rule of thumb on this. It's very interesting in the Bible when you look at the story of David and Bathsheba. I mean, so here's an instance not just of lust, but actually lust was carried forward into adultery. And when you read the Bible story, the way that it's told for all the ages of what David did, we have no doubts about what happened and about the scope of the sin. At the same time, we have no gory details. So there's nothing in the story that would elicit morbid imagination, kind of, well, what did they do next, or that kind of thing. It's crystal clear what happened. There's no pussyfooting, there's no hiding things that need to be open. And at the same time, it has a certain generic quality. So when this questioner asks, is it just a general confession? I would take that to, a general confession could be as general as, well, I struggled with sinful thoughts. That strikes me as a little bit too non-specific. He's written in his question, I struggled with lust. Now, that may be all that needs to happen. It may be, though, that he needs to go a step further. Was his struggle with lust, does his wife, the one he sinned against, violating the loving troth between them, does she know all she needs to know to pray for him, to forgive him, to love him? Or does he need to say, well, it was more than just thoughts, but I actually, there was a woman I was ogling, or I went on internet pornography? That may be did he do something? Did he, in terms of, did he actually pursue someone? There's a certain degree of generic specificity that is appropriate, so that the person he sinned against knows what she's dealing with, what she's forgiving. Does he need to go into gory, panoramic color detail? No, he doesn't. That would be, that would grovel in it. It would elicit morbid thoughts perhaps in his wife. He needs to deal with the sin at the level that allows the sin to be faced. So, general principle, there obviously, if I were to throw one other factor in, who his wife is will also make a difference in how this unfolds. If she is a woman who responds to the appropriate level of candor with mercy immediately, with a desire to be helpful, then case closed, open, shut, we're done, we move on, let's seek to walk in the light from here on. If she struggles, then there's a more complex question that could at some point even, it doesn't mean that he shouldn't be honest, but it might also say, perhaps he needs to also have a brother that he's confessing to, and part of what they're working through is how can he most helpfully deal with his wife, confess his sins to her, but in a way that doesn't stumble her, in a way that helps build their relationship more fruitfully. So, again, like any simple question, there's always other nuances and complexities that can arise, but, in the scope of our video here, this is all the time we've got an answer for. So